With more on this deal is Erica Ayala. She's a women's hockey analyst for the Premier Hockey Federation and the founder of Black Rosie Media. Erica, how significant is this deal for women's professional hockey?
Well, it's significant multiple times over. It is significant because we've heard that a lot of women's hockey players and front office staff, as well as coaching staff, have wanted one women's professional hockey league in North America for quite some time, predating what we will eventually have, which is projected to start in January 2024. So that is very significant that we are getting to that point in time. But it's also significant because there will be a lot of athletes that now have to reconfigure what the fall is going to look like for them, particularly those who played in the Premier Hockey Federation and were already on contract, some of those multi-year contracts. We also know there are about 97 members of the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, which will be, as Haley Salvian reported just earlier today, the voluntary union. So not through the Department of Labor, at least here in the United States, but they are the ones who are ratifying over this holiday the collective bargaining agreement with the new ownership group. And so there are potentially some of those 97 essentially founders of this women's union that may not play in the proposed 6-team league.
So what are some of the potential drawbacks of this deal?
The drawbacks, as we know right now, are that we don't really know much. And I would also say that the timeline is a drawback. We're talking here in July of 2023. And so that's about 6 months before the league will set to drop the puck in January 2024. Now, while the collective bargaining agreement, as I mentioned for the PWHPA, was in the works, neither the PWHPA, the players union, nor the players of the Premier Hockey Federation knew that this acquisition was going to happen. And it is an acquisition. It is not a merger. So there are going to be particular assets that are taken for this new league and some that are pushed to the wayside, which is why the PHF contracts were voided. It's also why, again, coaching staff and other hockey operations staff, at least at the team level, right now don't know what the future looks like.
Now, in the NHL, players often get salaries well over $1 million. Once the deal is approved for this women's hockey league, it will feature a minimum salary of $35,000 US for players on the active roster. How important is this for young women who want to play professionally?
I think it's difficult to know right now because that minimum salary is just under what we consider entry level in the United States. It's also less than at least what we were expecting for some Premier Hockey Federation players to be paid in the upcoming PHF season, which now has been voided because of the acquisition. So on the one hand, we will have a league where women's hockey players are paid, especially players coming from the PWHPA. However, we really have to see how everything shakes out. And we were just starting to get to more transparency in the PHF. And I hope that we continue to see transparency when it comes to what the actual salaries are. You mentioned the men's professional hockey league, the National Hockey League, and we do get the AAVs. We know what the contract terms are. And so I think the significance and the impact, we'll have to wait and see how everything is communicated and what transparency we see. That being said, we love to see that women's professional hockey is continuing on the path of paying women salaries, and we'll figure out once we know more details where that falls into the historical context of paying women.
And do we know right now which are the 6 cities that will host this new women's hockey league?
We do not. As the programming said, we have heard reports that there will be 3 in Canada, 3 in the United States. There were 7 teams overall in the Premier Hockey Federation, only 2 of which were in Canada. There have been reports that the 2 Canadian teams that were a part of the Premier Hockey Federation will remain, though none of that has been confirmed. And so there is a lot of waiting that we're we're going to have to do again in the next handful of months to see what this new league is going to be called, where it's going to be located, and then who will fill out the rosters.
Well, there's no shortage of hockey fans here in Canada, so we will be watching. Erica Ayala, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.